Awesome. I just want to know whether I am online and if you can hear me, see me, just give me a hi, hello. I'll open up the chat now. All right. Super. If you can see me online, am I audible? Just making sure that I'm audible, visible. Am I audible? Oops. Okay. Very much audible. Making sure. All righty. Okay. Just making sure. Audible. Super. Very much audible. So here I am, episode number 60, and we are going guns when it's a new year and when everybody is, bouncing back with the new freshness, new vigor, rigor for this new beginning. And we are here to complete our 100 episodes on how to raise your emotional intelligence through brain skills. And if you remember really well that we are, approaching emotional intelligence in essence of taking your existing strength, how you approach with your left brain, right brain, logical and emotional components, whichever is actually in power in you, we're going to leverage that and also improve the areas of, wherever you feel there's a gap, but for which you need to have the right kind of awareness as to what are the brain styles and what is the benefit of having your, somebody could be logically driven because they are naturally that way. I mean, they are fond of numbers, figures, facts, and they seek that kind of data. For someone who could be really good with people and they handle people's people related issues or conflicts, they're they're a natural leader in terms of arriving at solutions when it regards with people related, something to do with energy, motivation, inspiration, creativity, the empathy that you need to have a right kind of understanding with each other. So these are all emotional components. Okay. But someone who could be mix of both. Okay. It's like, they can handle both the people and the process really well. But how much are we using what side of the brain or what component in your brain style, which is very natural for you, without any resistance, it just come out of you. It all depends on how much are we using, what kind of brain styles, what brain strengths are we using it in our life, work, or in any decisions that we have to deal with daily, chores. So this entire series is dedicated to busy moms because me being a busy mom myself, I understood the importance of how to deal with my emotions, how to manage my emotions, setting certain boundaries, also making sure that I take care of those emotions within me, the little voice in me, not to sabotage, at the same time, not to ignore people's emotions around me. How do I balance? Emotional intelligence is basically the balance, especially when we are talking about brain skills. Your left brain and right brain has to be in balance, which means it has to be in midbrain. Only in the midbrain, the emotional intelligence can be functional. So in essence of that, we started looking at different brain skills to develop. Okay. We started off with the resilience, logical resilience, emotional resilience, resilience for entrepreneurs, for, career women, for parenting. And we also saw creativity, proactivity, problem solving, critical thinking. We saw a good amount of emotional insights and empathy building. And, the recent previous episodes, quite about 7 to 8 episodes, we saw exclusively on decision making. Okay. If you haven't, gone through those previous episodes, do so. And most importantly, subscribe to my YouTube channel. By now, my name is Brinda Kalyan Raman, and you will find my YouTube channel also on the same name. If you haven't still subscribed, please do so that whenever I come live, you will get a notification. And whenever there is a video, published, you will again get a notification. So it's going to be a long-term relationship. And this series is about 100 episodes on brain skills, but there is an upcoming series about money quotient. How do you raise your money quotient using your brain skills? Okay. And of course, there are digital business tools that we will be discussing. But in essence, both personal and business development is important. So when you deal with both your emotional and your money quotient is when you attain the emotional freedom and financial freedom. So that is the ultimate freedom that we are aiming to create, because my paid community is all about, in fact, I'm on a mission to help 1 lakh women to achieve that kind of a freedom where they can work any part of the world. I mean, from any part of the world. They don't need an office. They don't need to travel. They don't need to leave their kids in daycare. They don't have to worry about work timing. They can work at their own flexible timing. And they can choose to work what they want to work on, how they want to work on, when to work, where to work, right? And with that kind of a work they want to do, it's coming out from their core. So they're going to align their core passion, interest, along with the market demands, and working from home is a beautiful model that is what has been discussed in my community. So there'll be a link given in the description, so you'll get to know all that. So this entire series is dedicated to busy moms, but that doesn't mean emotional intelligence is stopping with or related only to busy moms. Emotional intelligence as a skill, um, especially this series is talking about brain skills, and it is important for anybody, starting from a elementary, mid-school, or school kid, because they also handle stress. Okay, they handle stress, they handle fear, they handle peer pressure, everything just like how an adult goes through. As much as it is important to, especially the moms who are juggling a lot of roles, and that's where the burnout can happen very easily. And that is why, I'm on a mission to help that kind of a mom who's struggling, because I've been there too. So my enemy is to eradicate that burnout or reduce it in such a way that the woman doesn't go through the overwhelm, both in terms of personal and professional life. But emotional intelligence as a concept is needed for any gender, any culture, any background, any income status. Nobody, it's not going to bifurcate that way to any human being. As long as they have, everybody has brain, and it is evident that we are logically driven. Some people are creatively driven. Okay, so we will see what is there for today, and we are going to get into from today for the rest of the few episodes in the future. We will be talking about a very, very important skill called adaptability. We did have some introduction on adaptability skill. Today, we're going to be talking about flexibility, the power of flexibility, and how we are going to use that power in order to be open to opportunities and seize those opportunities in life and work. Okay, I'm going to be sharing my screen. Just let me know if this is visible. Super. Just want to make sure that my screen and my audio is pretty okay. Making sure that if you're watching me online, please do give me a comment or let me know if it is okay for you. I'll be more than happy to give you a shout out. Okay, super. So what do we have for today? We're going to be talking about how to stay open and open to new opportunities and seize them. But for you to do that, you need to have, some talents in you, right? To recognize the talent, I mean, opportunity first, and then be able to grab it, seize it. Okay, so there's quite some amount of work to be done. Now, what is that work? How much is the measure? What do you need to do for that work is what is we are going to discuss by using our own tools called brain power. Okay, it is all well within us. Emotional intelligence is well within us. The wisdom is always within us. Whether you're a student who's watching, a professional, a graduate, a fresh graduate who's watching for, to know how to develop emotional intelligence, because gone are those days where emotional intelligence is seen as an extra skill. No, it is most important and needed on-demand skill for 21st century, because we are dealing with a lot of pandemic, and to combat the pandemic challenges, and we don't even know what are the other pandemics lined up. Okay, right after the coronavirus, We are in mental health pandemics. We don't know, God knows how many pandemics are lined up. Okay. In order to combat that, and in order to also combat and stay calm in the fast-paced environment, also stay successful, highly fast-paced and highly competitive. So AI is disrupting, technology is, rising, booming. Every industry is churning towards that kind of a technology. If you're not, then you're already lost in the game. So a lot of business, a lot of industries are reforming, government policies, trade, business, everything is reforming. Okay, we are on the rise of a lot of things. As much as we have advantage, we do have a disadvantage. So it is important to see how we are succumbed to all these changes, right? And how do we are not supposed to do it so that we don't get controlled with other external factors. Okay, it is important to stay, in your control, in your power, for which you need right kind of awareness. Then you need to make informed choices and then alignment. So with awareness, right kind of awareness is when you can apply and start acting on it. That is when you're taking choices. And with that kind of a right kind of an action is when you're able to align yourself. Okay. So these three are secrets to emotional intelligence, and it is applicable for anybody. With that notice, we will today discuss about flexibility and how you're going to use that flexibility using your brain skills. You may be left brain or right brain or mid brain, but what are the hacks that you can use to improvise, improve the other area skill gap, or you can use your own strength to enhance your flexibility skill. It's like a muscle. Okay. So the next few episodes, we're going to be exercising the muscle called flexibility. So in today's episode, you will see how to adjust your mindset to embrace new opportunities with ease and strategies to balance flexibility with focus for personal and career growth. Real examples of successful leaders who thrived by staying adaptable. So we will also see case study, okay, in order to back up our data. We will also see one practical person, okay. Out of all those examples, in fact, emotional intelligence, you don't have to check for anybody outside. First of all, the wisdom is lying within you. Suppose you're not able to, it's clouded and you're not able to be, visible towards that. You can pick up examples around you because emotionally intelligent people are always around us. You talk about your elders in the family, who showed that maturity. Even a small kid can exhibit the emotional maturity, even at the most stressful times. Okay. So it doesn't have any filtrations. As long as you're able to be aware, oh, this is what is maturity. Oh, this is what is empathy. Oh, this is what is creativity. So that is why you need to have the right kind of awareness. And that is why these episodes, right after you gain some awareness and insights, you're going to apply it because I'm going to be showing you the tools and, the way forward, some call to action where you can really start applying. And once you start applying, seeing the result is when you can actually think, okay, this is working for me. Let me align my goals or vision or whatever it is according to, use these tools accordingly. I will work towards my vision. So this is how alignment can happen. So if this is needed for anybody, and there are a lot of examples around us, you look for your elders, teachers, successful people around you in any domains. Even if you're a stay-at-home mom, you can have a lot of examples from your own family, your own relatives, your own elders, or your friends, peer people. Some best practices could be really working for them. So it is important to adapt that. But how flexible are we to even accept that for the fact that, something is working for them? We might want to appreciate it for the fact and then adapt it. Unless you have that growth mindset to learn and grow, we won't be able to have the skill set. Okay. I think I gave you a hint, but let's talk in detail about how we are going to align our brain power towards the skill. So understanding flexibility comes with a general definition of flexibility is the ability to adjust mindset and behaviors. It has both the effect on your awareness and application as well. Okay. Behaviors has to be demonstrated through actions that you take. So for which you need to start applying the knowledge that you're gaining. So only then you can stay open to new opportunities and challenges. The next one is left brain approach. I mean, this is your general definition. Now, what we will see is how your brain is approaching, how your brain is helping you to approach certain things. If you're a left brain person, You're going to be using your logical thinking to identify where flexibility is needed and plan adjustment accordingly. Okay, this is what you're going to do. So what you will do is you're going to apply the logical thinking, first of all, to understand, okay, where are the areas I need to be flexible on? And what are the plans? Right? So planning, structuring, and these are all logical components. Okay, this is how you approach if you're a logical person. But if you're a right brain person, okay, emotionally driven. Now, when I say emotionally driven, you're not an emotional person. Your emotional competencies are working good for you. You're dominant in that area. I told you in the beginning that if you are good with people, people are full of emotions, right? Energy and motion. So energy and emotions. So if you can deal with those two components, you're good with that right brain. Okay? Because energy and emotion is what is going to create the creativity, innovation, and all that. Okay? The tolerance, the patience, endurance, all that is it intangible is all going to be the right one. All that which you can visibly see, it's all going to be the logic one. But there's also a beauty of blending both. That is what is emotional intelligence. You need to be able to take the logical data and emotional data. So the right brain people will embrace creative thinking and emotional openness to accept new possibilities without hesitation. Okay. Some keywords you need to remember is embracing the creative thinking and emotional openness will be easy for those people who are right brain. But for logical people, emotional openness will not happen because they are more of validation, seeking some justification, because that's how their brain will work. But for which, if you can identify where's the gap, and then accordingly, if you can plan, maybe your logical brain style will accept you to be flexible. But if you're a right brain person, and if you don't have that emotional impact or some emotional validation gaining, you won't be able to jump in to be flexible. You still wait for that kind of data. You need that spark of creativity. You need that spark of emotional impact. There has to be something touching your emotions, energy. You need to be, motivated. That spark has to come. Until such time you wait. But the moment you gain it, you are ready to take action. Okay. How many of you are loving the concept that when you have this kind of awareness, when you can identify yourself, which bucket you fall into, then it becomes easier. Otherwise, you're full of resistance. During the pandemic times, when we're almost in isolation. Of course, we're staying with family. For people who did stay alone, they were in isolation. But even when we are staying with family, we are still isolated. Not just for the isolation, we need to cope up, how to stay within the family environment, how not to step out, how to engage ourselves within that given structure. That is where it was, we were not used to it. Okay. Without being prepared, without being awareness, we were just shunned. But there are people who use that opportunity to work from home, and then their business just, gone up, skyrocketed. For those people who resisted, saying, I don't want to come near camera, I don't want to be on Zoom and all that, there were a lot of industry, business, important, critical decisions were taken on Zoom, working from home. People who couldn't adopt, they were lost in the game. Already the physical business were not happening, and they were not ready to be, working on the technology, sources. So they're already lost in the game, especially education. They didn't have choice. The two students didn't have choice. The parents didn't have choice. They were pushed to, um, uh, they were pushed to take what is available for them. Otherwise, the objective is lost. Similarly, for people who could adapt, they moved on, they sailed through. And after the pandemic got over, they in fact had used that hybrid mechanism instead of going back to the same old physical, solo physical alone, because anytime the same situation can occur. Now the human brain is started adapting. For those people who resisted, it's still not adapting, and they will not be, competent enough, because the world is not the same before pandemic. I mean, not the same as before pandemic. Right after pandemic hit, everything got opened up, and people had started with hybrid model. So if you want to be in the game, you want to be learning how to adapt. Adaptability quotient is even more important, and it is a subset of emotional quotient. Okay. Although it is a right brain, adaptability itself is a right brain component, but there has to be a left brain approach as well. So that is what is the beauty of emotional intelligence. So the benefits of flexibility, if you have the flexibility skill in you, you're going to increase your career mobility. Okay. Which means being flexible allows you to take advantage of new job or career opportunities. Improved problem solving. Flexibility leads you to better creative solutions when things don't go as per your plan. Okay. When you are ready to adapt, you don't resist, you don't fail. You will look for possibilities. Okay. Reduced stress. Accepting changes easily reduces stress when planning, shift, or unexpected events arises. Okay. Some people without acceptance, they simply go and to only to a shorter term, to shorter extent. Because once you don't accept and you still want to follow through, eventually you will fail off. You will fall off track. So you need to have that emotional acceptance too. It could be a logical acceptance as well, because now you look at the data around, logically all the loopholes are closed. There's only one way to go. Maybe you will accept, which is okay. The right brain driven people would need an emotional acceptance. They need to be really, sometimes need to be pumped up. Okay. But that doesn't mean you wait for that motivation to happen, even though all your doors are closed, only one way is out. You're still waiting for that motivation to come, it won't come. So there also you need to start learning to accept the logical acceptance. Okay, even though you're not motivated. On the way, you get pumped up. When you look at the possibilities, you will naturally, become energetic. You will get that emotional acceptance on the way. But then the reason why I split all the time logical and emotional is because everything can be approached that way. Okay, in awareness path, when you want to go in depth in awareness, everything can be dissected. But only to an extent you can, that's how truth is. Okay. So you need to have the blend of logical and emotional all the time. All right. So it's going to reduce your stress too, and it's going to enhance your relationship. So flexibility in relationship fosters better understanding and compromise. Okay. Then the potential drawbacks. So for people who are over delivering on flexibility, that means they're over flexible. There could also be chances that when you're dealing with your brain, when you think this is already a skill in you, what happens when you overdo on the skill is what we're going to discuss, because this particular series itself is dedicated to your brain skill development. It is important to let you know that anything overdone can also create a consequence for it. So what happens when you overdo on the skill will be difficult to set boundaries. Somebody who's over flexible, oh, okay, this is not working. Okay, no problem. We'll work on that other one. Okay, so the tickets are not available. Okay, we'll change to airplane. Now that is not working. Okay, we'll go by walk. How come? Airplane and walk, right? It clouds their judgment. And when it deals with boundaries, with essentially talking about people, okay, now this person is not good for me. Okay, let me, find out another person. Or it could be the other way, that those people are taking you for a ride because you're okay for everything, right? So there are, two sides to all the problems. So being too flexible can lead you to say yes too often, causing burnout. So this is a classic symptom. If you cannot say no, you cannot set your boundaries. And if you cannot set your boundaries, you are so short way routing to overwhelm. In any role that you're taking, whether you're a full-time mom, you don't have any extra, responsibility, you will still be taken for a ride with your peer or with your own family. Okay. Then comes lack of focus. Constantly adjusting, making it harder to stick to long-term goals. That is also one thing that you need to be flexible. Okay. So sometimes you need to take a break. You should be flexible for that and then be able to come back to your goals. Okay. And then over accommodating. Flexibility can sometimes causes you to prioritize others' needs over your own. It is typical, right, for moms. So it is typical, we put ourselves in the last least priority, and we gather all the tasks which are not in our priority. because the priority itself is, you know, let's little tricky. So where are we in the priority list? At the last. But our tasks are driven by us, delivered by us. So how do you see this motivation constantly pumping up? You're naturally not doing. You're actually creating it. But how long can you create? It is a sure shot to get burnout. It has to it has to be a natural thing, right? Of course, when there's a given situation where there's a newborn baby, okay, you can't expect from the newborn baby. It is called responsibility. But there are certain things that you have to also do for yourself. Only then you can have a balance. Okay. Only when you can take care of yourself, you become happy, you become fulfilled. That is when your energy and the emotion through which you are delivering to other people around you can be felt and valued. So it is counterintuitive that, you must not just be a giver, you should also be a receiver. But when you apply it, you will come to know. But please do remember, you don't have to go to that extent to say, you know what, let me just first get that experience of getting knocked down, and then I will realize these things are important. No, you don't have to do that. That is why, um, you know, like coaches like me are coming up on, on the screen, sometimes freely available. All these resources are so freely available because we want to tell our stories that you don't have to be in that position. You don't have to do the same mistakes. Okay. Then comes importance of you having this flexibility. Let's say you don't have this. Now what happens? People can miss opportunities and struggle with change. Let's say you have it. You're going to adapt to new situations very easily and capitalize on opportunities. Then industry demands. Statistically, 80% of employees prioritize flexibility as a top skill in today's workforce. As we are talking in 2025, highly demanded skill set, your adaptability quotient. And one of the skill set is flexibility. So who needs this? Entrepreneurs. Adapting to market changes, new business opportunities, professionals who are navigating career shifts, promotions, and industry changes, parents who are balancing family needs with professional responsibilities, and individuals facing personal challenges and life transitions. Now, let's talk about flexibility in career transitions. Okay. How do you do this? 3 steps. If you want to apply flexibility, in what areas can you apply? Let's talk about career transitions. You're going to identify the new skills that you want to upgrade because we are talking about learning and growing, adapting. Okay. Now you understood that there is something missing gap. Okay. Now you want to fill that gap. How do you do that? First of all, you need to be able to identify because your logical brain has to identify that missing element. Somebody who's not even able to identify, that means what? They are ignorant, or, they still, they're not in the line of progression. They're okay in their comfort zone. All right. Now, flexibility or adaptability is very, very important for you to keep progressing, keep upgrading. If you have the growth mindset, you will keep moving. And for a person who has to move, then they will be able to identify new skills. And immediately you're going to assess the skills needed for your role or industry. You're going to have that judgment. Okay. If it's not relevant, now you are a stay-at-home mom. And what is there to for you to learn the AI skills? But if you're a business entrepreneur, it is important to have the digital business marketing strategies. And if AI is going to help you create that kind of digital marketing strategies, you might want to use it. Suppose you are in your technology, okay, you are an IT graduate. You definitely have to upgrade yourself, on AI skills. So you're going to identify that kind of a gap. And then you're going to adapt your learning style. So you're going to adjust your approach to acquire new knowledge efficiently. Okay. And then you're going to embrace the change. You're going to stay open to new work environment and responsibilities. All right. Now, when it comes to relationship, how do you want to have a change? 3 steps, 3 important things. One, for you to become flexible, all you have to do is understanding. You need to have that understanding. You need to be open to different perspectives and needs. Then you should be ready to compromise. Now, what kind of compromisation? That it depends on your relationship, depends on your value systems. You don't have to necessarily compromise your values, but you can always communicate your values. Okay. There has to be some give and take. There has to be turns, and there has to be sometimes a loss. Now, how much of the loss? What are the loss is something that you have to do. Loss could be time, effort, money, resources, sometimes relationship. Okay. Is it smarter people? Not necessarily that they have to go through the loss of relationship, but maybe their time and effort, because they want that, they value that relationship. So they are able to take a compromise on their time and effort for a long term. Okay. For somebody, for something that you need to lose money to gain that relationship. Okay. So accordingly, I mean, that could be a coaching, that could be a service that you want to take. But on the long term, you're gaining some relationship. Maybe you're learning something new from that coach and you are able to build it back home with your spouse or with your kids. Okay. Some amount of compromise between people is also important. Between your spouse, give and take should be there. Between your kids, there has to be, I mean, depends on your communication. Okay. You're going to find that middle ground in conflicts and decision, especially. Emotional growth. You're going to allow relationship to evolve and deepen over time. Okay. So when it comes to emotional growth, it is important to give enough time. Time, effort is a metrics there. Okay. How much are you willing to evolve and deepen? How much is the other person also giving in? Then comes flexibility in parenting. Okay. Early childhood. How do you adapt to constant changes in needs and behaviors? It is important that, during, I mean, the early elementary school kids, it's very important to apply, it is important for them also to learn how to adapt to constant changes, maybe because where the parents are moving around, so they might have a, new set of schools and set of friends constantly. How are they adapting? Or when they transition from one grade to another, that could be a change for them. Okay. And then when it comes to school years, balancing academic support with encouraging independence. As a parent, it is important to, have that flexibility in you that the the child themselves are going through some changes. Now, during the early days, elementary kids, their approach could be different. But the same example of you relocating to another location, but if you have a teenager or a mid-schooler, their approach or their demands and expectations or their impact could be even more different. The younger the child, the younger is the I mean, the more the adaptation. But the child grows, a lot of resistance also comes in. That becomes difficult for the younger adult to adapt. So as a parent, where are we going to apply this flexibility is we need to understand, compromise, and then you know the steps, right? Only then you're going to understand, compromise, and emotional impact also you'll have to take care at each stage. Now, with school goers like mid-schooler, high schooler, you're going to balance that support as they transition. Their demand could be, some based on peer influences or their age effect, their own demands, emotional impact. So you need to understand that. And then as they transition to a teenager, hormonal wise, biologically also they are going through that change. How flexible are we in our approaches with them? Okay. So you're going to adjust your parenting style accordingly. Sometimes we may not be able to give that autonomy. Sometimes we need to, forego, let go of that, and then teach them the responsibility. Okay. And value systems. So certain things we cannot forego, we cannot compromise, but certain things we can and we should be able to flexibly approach. Then comes flexibility in entrepreneurship. Now, when it comes to business people, how flexible are we in market adaptation? So, are we good enough to quickly pivot when market trends changes to avoid stagnation? So, typical example is pandemic. So, how much are we aligned? Did we even take that as an opportunity to learn and grow, or we, simply kept resisting, and then by the time it was high time for us to adapt, we just adapted it for the sake of it? Or how did we approach the market as well? And then the product, by the time we want to approach, you must have lost a lot of clients, because of which you kind of went to adaptation. However, the adaptation is beneficial considering the situation. Now, when it comes to product innovation, how open are you to modify those products based on your customer needs? You don't need a pandemic to do that, but every every time the market goes through some changes, some new innovation can happen, and then the customer expectations will, a lot of competitors are there. So why would they choose your product? So what special is your product about? So are you ready to design, redesign, reform your product according to your customer needs? Time and again. Then comes business model flexibility itself. We're going to be talking about a case study. In fact, all the episodes, we do talk about a case study. How have they established that, demonstrated that particular skill or an episode, right? Similarly, sometimes we need to pivot our business model according to the, changes, what is happening in the market, global, market trends, or according to our customer, you know, needs, wants based on the survey, or, looking at the past trends and the futuristic, trends or technology explosion is going to happen specifically for AI. How are we prepared when it comes to business model itself? So where are the turns that you need to be flexible about? So you need to really be willing to adjust your business model to meet that changing demands. It could even be a government regulation. It could be some political changes too. It could affect the government policies. How are we going to change or be flexible towards that? Because you just cannot evade the government policies. You just cannot evade the catastrophic events, or something which is not in your control. Okay. How much are we willing to, first of all, have that acceptance, prepare, anticipate, and then how much are we willing to apply it? Okay. Then comes flexibility in learning and education. Lifelong learning is important because for you to embrace new subjects and technology to, make you stay relevant, it's very, very important. Okay. All of us, whether you're a grown adult or a young adult, we need to have that value system in us that we have to be a lifelong learner. Only then we can have a growth, path. Otherwise, we fall into comfort zone very easily. Then comes diverse learning methods. Adapting to different new teaching styles and learning environment is very, very important. And it was very evident in the pandemic times. People who did not want to change, they succumbed. And then skill application. How are you going to apply those learned skills in various contexts? Only knowing is of no use. It is important to apply the knowledge that you have gained. Similarly to this episode, I will tell you how you're going to apply, because just by gaining insights or awareness it's going to be drained off. Right after when you come for the next episode, already it is diluted. Within 24 hours, the brain capacity is such that it'll absorb. The more you leave gap, the more it gets drained off. Okay. Then this is an interesting concept where all that we learned, we know how it is important, where we can apply, and how our brain is actually allowing us to apply. Now we'll see what could be the brain hacks. How can we hack the brain capacity in order to develop this particular skill? The first hack is right brain. For you to be flexible, what you're going to do is adopting that growth mindset. Okay. If you are a person who has a goal, who has a vision, then you are naturally falling into that path of growth mindset. Suppose you don't have a goal, but you still are working towards something. As long as you want to, you need not have an official goal. Even if you're a stay-at-home mom, tomorrow can be a goal for you. Or the next best thing, next best decision can be a goal for you. How are you driving towards that? How willingly are you driving towards that? You cannot say that, you know what, I have already fixed this. Doesn't matter whether it's snowing outside or it is hot peak summer. I don't care. I will do what it takes. I'll do what, I've already planned. So that is not flexibility. You might want to, drive a car when it's so hot. You might want to take a walk when it's snowing, or, stay at home. You don't have to. You might want to check the online opportunities at that point of time. Okay, I'm just giving you a rudimentary example, but then this is how a growth mindset people will start looking at possibilities and opportunities. And then, you're going to remember three steps. When you want to adapt a growth mindset, you're going to embrace challenges. You're not going to resist those challenges. Any obstacles comes on your way, you're going to view that as an opportunity for growth and learning. Then you're going to learn from criticism. You're not going to be the critic. In fact, you're going to learn it from them. You're going to use feedback constructively to improve and develop. Because trust me, advice is free. Okay. Feedback is given free. Why not use it? Okay. Especially when the feedback is constructive, it might as well help us to grow. Okay. Then comes celebrating others' success. Very, very important. My mentor always says if you see a posh, rich house, and if if one of your goals is to build a house, bless them heartily. It works counterintuitively in terms of law of vibration and law of manifestation. But essentially, what we are trying to build our muscle skills, right, is to be flexible, to accept, emotionally accept for the fact right now could be difficult for you, but you will eventually fall into that kind of a home, but for which you need to be able to celebrate other success. If you are greedy, if you are very contained, you don't want to uh, be generous, then it's definitely going to affect your frequency. Okay. So find that kind of inspiration in others' achievement rather than feeling threatened about it. Okay. Full of, we are covered with full of already fast paced, and we are always covered with full of FOMO, fear of missing out something, whether it is for school kid or an adult, especially moms. Okay, because we don't have that kind of an emotional support around us constantly to vent out or to speak out or to even clarify our doubts, we are succumb to all that. Okay, it is important to be generous. I you know we as a family, we notice this pattern that people become so very um uh you know giving compliments is very tricky. I understand it's difficult, but giving genuine compliment cannot be difficult. So there is a very deep concept in this, but people don't want to habituate themselves for that. So giving the due credit is very, very important. Doesn't matter whether it's a compliment or not. As long as you feel somebody has done their job, it has to start with home. Charity begins at home. So you need to inculcate that value in your children, in your parenting, in your place, in your home, in your vicinity, in your surroundings, that you should be able to celebrate other success too. If you find there is a due credit to be given to anybody, especially between spouse, between the parents and the child, and between friends or your co-workers or your employees, it is important to give that due credit and celebrate their success as yours. You will be returned with that gift similarly by the universe. It's by law. What comes around, what goes around, comes around. And then comes, this is a hack, okay? The second hack is about both the brain. You're going to be willing to change that plans, okay? You're not going to be stuck. When it's snow, you're going to accordingly put layers on and then step out. And when it's summer, we're going to change accordingly, okay? Nature teaches us a lot of things about adaptability. And how you're going to be willing is to assess the new opportunity, because logically you need to satisfy that there has to be a change in you. Suppose somebody else is telling you, your brain will not accept. Okay. So you need to also evaluate the unexpected chances that could arise, even they don't fit in your plan. Okay. So that anticipation, that planning has to be there. Backup plans always has to be there. Then you're going to weigh that opportunities, okay, pros and cons on each opportunity and potential obstacles with the drawbacks and benefits. Then adapt it gracefully. Okay, if a change is beneficial, adjust your plans with positive attitude. You're going to be teaching the same thing to your kids as well. Now another both brain activity is networking with the diverse people. They say it's a long time, it's been there and fresh in me, like somewhere when I was a child, I heard this, that when you move around with a 6 year old, you get to learn a different whole world of perspectives. Okay. And when you move around with 60 years old, okay, so they give you a different diverse perspective. So when you want to learn about life, and when you want to get that maturity, you need to be networking with diverse groups. Now, this is just an example of how you need to have the both the blend of the worlds. Okay. because a 6-year-old brain could be very, very creative. It could be, so fabricated, and they have their own, world of no filtrations. But when you're dealing with 60-year-old, they come with wisdom. Okay, all their filtrations is gone. They come with a lot of insights, experiences, which cannot be false. So neither of these two diverse worlds cannot be false. Similarly, when you are a parent, it is important to have a diverse group of networking. One is your own peer people, and then you could also be in other stream of people. Like you will have to be befriending with a career professional, a career mom. You would like to know how they juggle, right? And maybe a business mom. They are even more intense, right? You would like to know how far they are able to handle. Okay, you can learn something, you can unlearn something. Okay, it could be both the ways. So it is also important to go global wide. Global connections is also important. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a career professional, it is important. Right now, world is full of opportunity. I'm talking to somebody who's watching from any part of the world. So that is the best gift that we have got in this era, that using the technology, we can access the global points. Then cross industry working. Even as a career professional, we were asked to have a cross networking, cross company networking, cross industry networking. So that is how we expand our horizon, because you never know where the opportunity is going to come. Okay. If you're a stay-at-home mom, if you're very conservative and docile, you might want to, network around your neighbors, which we always do. But I'm talking about the young mothers, or the future mothers, or the present mothers who are struggling to network. Trust me, it is in the gene, because our mother, our elders are very good at it. It comes with the practice. But the thing is, you need to have a diversified group. Only then you will have a growth mindset, progressive mindset. Otherwise, if you're too comfortable talking with the person who has the same kind of problem, you will also be stuck in the same whirlpool. Then comes idea exchange. You're going to share and gather ideas, okay? Diverse perspective to broaden your think, okay? Very important is to give and take. When you are networking, it is important to ask and give. It's not only one way. And that is why networking as a skill itself is very, very important, okay? Then comes left brain hack, where you're going to take small risk, starting with small baby steps. You're going to step out of your comfort zone. Okay. Try new experiences that challenge you in small ways. It could still be something which you have not done. Maybe when you're walking, you might want to take a walk back to understand how you can rewire your brain immediately, right? Maybe you're stuck with mundane thoughts and it's racing and it's disturbing. You can do that. Or you can just sing a song and then just make a free will dance. Okay. These are some things that you can try if you're not, because these things have to help you come out of the comfort zone. Maybe you can, shoot a video if it is stretching you a bit, where you're making coming out of your comfort zone, or subscribing for, we all do this as a new year resolution, that we subscribe for gym, right? You might want to come out of that comfort zone and take that action, and then calculate potential benefits. You're going to assess the possible positive outcomes, taking that kind of a risk also. Learn from outcomes, and then you're going to reflect on the results of your risk to guide that future decisions as well. Suppose you enrolling for a gym, it is a potential benefit. Okay, so you might want to see your uh, fitness. Okay, suppose it is helping you, and what are you going to learn from that outcome is you stepping out of that comfort zone. That one small step has led you to this big win. So you're going to adapt the same thing in others. So then the another hack is your right brain. You're going to practice letting go. It's a very important skill needed for entrepreneurs, professionals, or innovators, or anybody who is in the high stake professionals, as well as an individual. You could be a student, you could be a mom, you could be a parent, you could be an individual, looking out for some growth. Totally fine. But in order to exercise this power of flexibility, you need to know this hack called letting go. Okay. Letting go can be forgiveness on an emotional aspect, or leaving your autopilot patterns, breaking through your resistance and rewiring your patterns. Okay. Maybe there are some autopilot patterns in you. You're going to revisit on it. I mean, we have done good amount of episodes on that. Okay, all these episodes will give you some hacks where you can rewire on your existing patterns. So letting go can be both emotional and logical. Again, everything can be dissected that way and approached. Accordingly, you're breaking down the complexity. So what you're going to do is when you're going to practice letting go, you're going to remember three steps. One, release that control. The reason why we are procrastinating or we are, in the embrace of perfection syndrome is because we are not able to let go. We want everything to be in control. It is quite natural for a mom, for a busy mom, right? We are juggling with multiple roles. That means we want to make a balance out of it. Now, in order to create balance, you need a lot of control. Okay, that is the trickier part. So you're chasing behind taking in control in every transaction that you only then you are in power, you are in balance, right? But it is counterintuitive. You have to let go in order to gain that harmony. So more than the balance, harmony is the key here. Of course, you need to get that balance in first. Okay. It is very important to be aware of where you're going overdoing, bring that awareness back, and then so you have been balanced. But then it is also sometimes releasing the control, which will give you that harmonious effect. Okay, accepting the fact that not everything can be controlled or predicted. Typically, pandemic, people who resisted it, they were perfectionist because they could not let go. They could not accept the fact that the changes happened. They think they had all control on themselves. But then, situations, external factors cannot be controlled by us. Then embracing the uncertainty, especially when future is uncertain. When you're walking into some unknown zone, maybe you are innovating something, you are creating a new business model, you don't know about the future market. Of course, you need to be taking the logical analysis with that, but then still, when you're walking towards something uncertain, you need to accept that fact. You're going to embrace that. View the unknown as an opportunity for growth and discovery. Okay. That is when you will let go of the perfectionist syndrome. Okay, you will be able to embrace what comes on your way, change it to opportunity. All the obstacles can be changed to opportunity. Then trusting the process. It is not the destination, it is the process itself, it is the journey. Unless you are, trusting yourself in the journey, every step will be a struggle. So you're going to trust that process, have faith. See, all these are under the iceberg components, right? Nobody will teach us. None of our schooling um, had taught faith building or has taught that emotional management or has taught the capacity of letting go. All these components were not taught in our education system. So these are something which is life skills. That is why it is emotional intelligence is more than ever it is needed now. Okay. I trust that you will pass on this awareness to your children, to your family, especially applying it on yourself, no matter whichever career zone you are in. Now, about a case study, we're going to be talking about Sheryl Sandberg. The reason why we are talking about few personalities, again and again, is because there are a lot of things that you can speak about a personality, especially when they are successful, not in just terms of, creating that kind of a revenue or, they're leading with multi-billion industries. Not just that, it's the way they conducted themselves in their life, especially in the midst of adversities. Now, with her, when she was leading Facebook before it became Meta, Facebook had a lot of crisis, okay, and it was male-dominated, company. And how did she, using her leadership abilities, how did she navigate that adversities? And especially during those times is when she had a, great loss. I mean, her husband uh, died, and the death of a loved one could be more than any adversities in life. So grief is, something next to impossible occurrence in life, right? So how did she manage both, and what kind of abilities she demonstrated that helped her, corporate navigate the challenges, as well as how did she become as a person during these, navigating these adversities? So that was intrigued, and I would want to know more about her brain styles today for this episode. How, flexibility as a woman, as a, as a leader, how did she manage all this without having that, flexibility in her, only with resistance and only with a lot of, what do you call, the perfectionism, she wouldn't have been able to navigate it, as nicely as she could be. It is important for her to let go a lot of things. It is important to embrace the uncertainties and the emotional impact that she had from the adversities. A lot of things that we can speak about. Let's talk about how her earlier career was transition from government work to tech industry, of course. Then she when she stepped into Meta as a COO, demonstrating career flexibility. That's when the Silicon Valley success happened, and her leadership style were collaborative approach for fostering the innovation and adaptability. Because for you to innovate, you're stepping into the unknown zone. Very important is to have that adaptability quotient in you. So her brain skills, especially when we talk about her logical brain skills, left side, strategic decision making, analyzing opportunities and risk when transitioning to Silicon Valley, it's a critical move, right? From government industry to stepping into the IT industry, that too with the Silicon Valley, which is a hub in the world for all the IT brains, right? It was a tough choice and bold move. So she adapted herself, right? And then analytical thinking, applying the data driven approaches to business challenges. Facebook itself is a data driven company. She used that data, to drive her business decision to challenges. And then logical problem solving. She developed systematic solutions for complex organization issues. She must have used this kind of a logical problem solving as well. Because when we are dealing with the data, logical data about past trends, emotions of people, everything is coming out as like a data. It is important to work on that data as much as we want to be logically driven, because there's no emotional component when you're dealing with the data. It is all the more structuring, planning, deriving the facts and figures out of it. But she is a person who carries the emotions and energy in her. How is she approaching? Okay. And then how her left brain really helped her. What are the skill set is what we saw. And then the right brain and her emotional adaptability, especially having the personal adversities, her connection with teams, navigated crisis with empathy. Okay. She must be high in her self empathy as well as her empathy for others. All right. And then creative leadership, because she was dealing with innovative, company with driven with culture, with innovation and technology, because Facebook itself was a, industry revolution, and they have to maintain that legacy. So it is very important to, keep up that value of creativity and innovation. And then intuitive decision making, using her emotional brain, she trusted her instincts when facing unprecedented challenges as well. Okay, these could be her top skills. So her top brain talents could be adaptability, that is, being excelling in different industries and leadership roles. Okay, for moving from a government conservative, very structured and very less demanding, to a highly demanding, highly dynamic industry takes a huge step. And then the resilience, despite of her personal adversities and the industry adversities, she remained open to learning and evolving even in difficult circumstances. And then the innovation, to keep up the company's main value of consistently bringing up the fresh ideas to drive company growth. I mean, it's not difficult, and it's just not the one person's role. And of course, there's a team effect in it, and that is why this emotional component will help her foster that team empathy. To be able to deliver that kind of a results, it's just not going to come from one person. It has to be a team effort, but that one person has to drive the results from the other person. So it does demand a particular skill set. And then comes, now you may have a lot of questions, as usual in every episode, that whenever we talk about top brain talents or case study or what is the importance, as an individual, we'll have a lot of questions like, where do I stand in this particular skill set? So you may have a lot of questions as to, how often do you adjust your plans for unexpected opportunity? You could be a stay-at-home mom, or you could be a career mom. How far are you able to balance it out? And how are you learning in this process? How do you remain open to learning new experiences? And how do you comfortably, approaching taking that small risk every time? So if you want to ask, these are all self-discovery questions. So if you have so many questions like this, I totally understand as an individual, even I do have a lot of questions because I am also having a progressive growth mindset. So for anybody who has the growth mindset will naturally have a lot of questions. So I'm going to be giving you a gift. But before that, I want to let you know that there are flexibility that you can use in decision making. Right after we saw Sheryl Sandberg, in case you're wondering where you can use those kind of flexibility in decision making and in various other areas, I'm just going to give you a skim through. Like you can in your decision making, you can develop flexibility like gathering information. First of all, you gather that amount of data even before you decide that you want to change, you need to know what to change. And then consider options. Without options, any one decision cannot be an informed decision. You need to be able to create that kind of options. And then you are going to weigh it. Then you're going to be remain open to embrace the challenge, turn it as obstacle to an opportunity. Every obstacle to an opportunity. Then you're also going to create emotional flexibility. More than the logical flexibility, you know now there is a gap you're going to fill in. But emotionally, are you accepting? Okay, for which you need to have a self awareness. You need to understand, okay, these could be my flaws. In fact, my favorite actor is Shah Rukh Khan. And I've been watching him from my childhood. So, a lot of nuggets that I gained from his personality. So, once he said to a journalist that I am pretty confident about my own flaws. Not just I'm aware of my flaws, but I'm very confident about my flaws. I work around that so that I don't self-sabotage. So that was so deep, I couldn't decode at that point of time, but now as a grown adult, I can really understand, especially when I'm walking towards on the path of awareness. It is important to be aware of our flaw and then be very confident. Okay, this is what it is. Now, the confident is not supposed to be something boosting or raising your arrogance. It's just to be clear that certain things, are not yet, adding the word called yet will allow you to get this flexibility. But if you're very particular, okay, this is what it is, this is what I am, that will make you inflexible. Very important to note this. Adding yet or adding and in your life, in your approach, will always give you the flexibility. This is another hack. And then become mindful. So practice being present and accept the current scenarios. Okay. Then, okay, when it comes to self-awareness, you're going to recognize your own emotional responses to changes and uncertainty. Okay, it is very important how you respond. It's okay by theory you would want to change, but are you really willing to change? What is your inner voice saying? And you need to fix it, address that. You may not be able to accept at the go, but then if it is continuing till your destination, you may not be fulfilling. So you need to address that, okay, that vacuum. And emotional regulation is also important. You just cannot be, your mind cannot wave around every time that, you think this is not working. Okay, we'll go to that. So jumping things is not flexible. So that only means you don't have stability. So you need to regulate also your emotions. You're going to develop strategies to manage that stress and anxiety during the transitions. Okay. Then comes flexibility in digital age. It is very important. I told you a couple of examples during pandemic, and then we are in hybrid. The world itself has become hybrid. Okay. So you're going to adapt to remote work adaptation, adjust to virtual collaboration and flexible work environment. Technological agility is also important. Okay. Stay open to learning new digital patterns, platforms, and tools. Okay. The entire nation, India, as an Indian, I'm very proud to say that we are progressive towards the UPA payments, right? Digital payments, right? Even a small time vendor is using the digital payment mode. So that is a huge leap. Okay, it is important to adapt. Online networking, embracing virtual networking opportunities to expand your connection. This is one such example of me coming to camera and a lot of us are coming to a lot of social media platform sharing a lot of content. It was earlier not possible. Imagine the Buddha old times. Would Buddha, imagine he having a microphone at least. He didn't have that also. So hardly people could hear. So everything was word of mouth. Now, with a click of a button, we can talk to the entire world. So we need to be adaptable for using that kind of a benefit as well. Now, when you ask me right now to address your questions that you may have in terms of your self-discovery, I'm going to give you a gift where it's called EQ quiz bundles for all these 100 episodes. You're going to have quiz for every episode, which means you're going to deep dive into, understand, not only take these insights, but also, answer those questions from your point of view, and to see whether you already are, upskilling in that. I mean, already are strong in it. If you're not, then you have a lot of chance to upskill there. So for each and every question itself, there will be one or two tips given to you. If you have chosen the wrong answer, you will get to know what is the right answer and what are the tips to improve in that way. So, for each and every episode, imagine you're going to get a self discovery question or assessment. Okay, this is a tool by itself. So, it's a bundle. All you have to do is, the entire bundle requires somebody to, do that manually, or even if it's going to be a tool driven, it needs a space and logistics and time and effort. So, it'll be charged. But I'm going to give you free of cost. I'm not sure when it'll be out there for a cost, but before which you can use it, take an access, because I'm going to grant you for lifetime access. Any number of times you can take this quiz at any point of time. Let's say after 2 years, you want to take a quiz on this particular episode. You're free to take it as many as times that you want. And those tips will also remind. Now, for you to make use of this, all you have to do is share your insights, what you gained in this episode, top three insights as comments below. So when I see your comments, I'm just going to ask your email ID and give you a shout out. With that, I'll also send you a 100% free coupon code. So you can access it anytime, any number of episodes, any number of quizzes. So if you can also be able to share with somebody that you think it's needed. I'm Because all these resources are not available when we are schooling or graduating, even now. So these are supposed to be taught to our children as well. So if you're a parent or an individual career person, please have that responsibility. In fact, if this video resonated with you, don't stop yourself. Share it with somebody whom you think it's most needed. And also give me that comments to understand how has it inspired you. So it will inspire me in turn. Okay. Otherwise, there are free resources available across Spotify. The same episode is being spoken as a podcast on the fly, on the go. You can listen to it. Subscribe to my podcast channel. Subscribe to my Instagram, so you will get short reels, LinkedIn, and Substack, where I'm going to be talking about emotional intelligence in a storyfied format. All that are available free of cost for you. Please make use of it. And most importantly, apply the concepts what you've learned today, because only with awareness, um, it's not enough to know a lot of theory or a lot of facts about